Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Making It with Michelle. Today is April 19th, Saturday, April 19th, and a little backstory. So a couple weeks ago, Aaron and I had filmed another video and somehow the sound got super messed up, and anyways, so we're coming at you 2 weeks again later. So I have lots of things to show you. I have a couple finishes, I have some frame finishes, and I have a ton of whips to talk about. In terms of, I have a little bit of quilting to talk about. We'll talk about the quilt behind me as well, and some plans for the future as well. And then of course, everyone's new favorite star, AB, Aaron Burt, will show up later at the end. Okay, so first we'll start with my framed finishes. So in March, over spring break, Lisa, Black Coffee and Grits, and I went to the Peanut Gallery. And last time we had been there previously, they had a whole few bins of frames that were just common sizes and a few odd sizes that were already put together that you could just purchase and take home, or you could purchase them and they would use that frame for some finishes. So Lisa and I were like, well, let's bring some of our smalls, and then maybe some of those will fit in those cheaper made frames because they wouldn't have to be custom. And so that's what we did. So I ended up taking 2 finishes and picking out some frames. So the first one is Go Tell It on the Mountain by Heartstring Samplery. So I stitched this I finished it last year, I believe. I stitched it on 36 count broom grass by Needle Bling Designs, and I did pretty much all the called for. The only thing that I changed was all of the white, the like snowflakes and the words Go Tell It on the Mountain were charted in arrowhead, and that just was not showing up on my fabric. And so I changed it to grits, also by Weeks Dye Works. And if you've seen the pattern, you know that I did take the words off at the bottom. I was nearing towards the end and I loved stitching this. It was a lot of fun, but I had a hard time stitching on this fabric. The light that I was using at the time was so bright that it was literally reflecting off the fabric. And so that made it really hard to stitch on. And I don't know if it was just the dye or if it was the light. I'm blaming the light. But when I got to the end, I just couldn't take it anymore. And my mother recommended that I just don't stitch the words on the bottom. And oh shucks, I did not do that. But I think it came out amazing, and I think this is not my normal style of frame. It's definitely more traditional, formal, but I thought the piece fit in there really well. So there's my first frame finish. The second one that I brought at that time was a finish I had shown earlier. This is House on Strawberry Hill by Blueberry Ridge Designs. And I don't know if I can get in close enough, but the frame itself has little flowers in it, and I thought that was super cute. I stitched this on 40 count Ren by Picture This Plus, and I only changed one thread color. Where I kitted it up, they didn't have one of the threads, and I just subbed. I think the sub, you can see it in the door for sure, is Apple Pie, I think it's called, by Classic Colorworks. So I think it fits beautifully in this frame, and I haven't quite hung it in my wall yet, but I have kind of landed, I think, on a place to put it. So it's so cute. And I have House on Pear Hill, which for some reason I'm not drawn to. I don't know if it's the yellows, but I did purchase House on Pomegranate Hill, and I have that all kitted up, and so hopefully I'll start that sometime this year. Okay, and then my big finish is Coffee and Eggs, and I have it framed back from the framer. So here it is in all of its glory. Oh, I am obsessed with it. At the framer, they called it the Egg Lady, which I thought was hilarious. So this is stitched on 36 count Ren by Picture This Plus. I did a fair amount of a color conversion with just turning those reds and mustard yellows and things to pinks and aquas and purples, magentas, my colors, and I think this came out amazing. I did end up not stitching the rainbow at the top. There was like a rainbow over her, and then there was a chicken over here. So I love it so much. And this frame that it's in, it's really thick. You could really stand it up on this on a shelf, but they did put a hanger on the back for me. So I think it's beautiful and I'm obsessed with it. Coffee and Eggs is by the Artsy Housewife. If you want to know some of my colors, I kind of used random. The aqua is really tealy by Classic Colorworks. The little bit of pink that is her shirt is Color and Cotton. The magenta is a Roxy Flossco, and then the lavendery color is a Bestitch Me Silk. So very random. I also changed the colors over here. I think I used Spinach by Classic Colorworks, and then I used Scuppernong for the little leaves, and then the pink was that same Color and Cotton that I can't think of the name. If you really want to know, just message me or leave a comment or message me on Instagram and I'm happy to go find them. So anyways, I love it. I'm obsessed with it. And hopefully this will be my cover photo for this video. Okay, so there she is. The Egg Lady in all of her glory. Okay, so those are all my framed finishes that I got back. So that's really a treat because last time the last time we filmed in early April, she was at the framer, and so I have since gone and I picked her up yesterday actually, and I dropped off another finish. So anyways, lots of good things happening. So the other finish that I had that I did drop off at the framer was Collector's Heart 2025. So hopefully I'll have that back by the next video. Aaron took some video of all of the things that I had in my last video, so he might include that as well. So if he does, I'll try to get him to put it in here. And then I did have a fairly ginormous finish. So when I filmed last in April, I had started working on Autumn Love, and part of that was because Lisa and my sister came over and we were talking about Lori Holt, and I had her Prim Houses finish up on the wall, framed and finished, and we were talking about some of her other cross stitches, and I lamented I really wanted to work on the Quilted Snowman, and I have that all ready to go, but I have 2 other of her charts undone, and so I was like, I really should get some of these finished. And so Lisa was like, oh, Michelle, if you do one of these blocks left in Autumn Love by the end of the year, you'll have it done. And I was like, that is a great idea. Well, for some reason, when I picked it up, I could not put it down. So I pretty much worked on it for about 2 weeks since my last video, and I did get it all done. So I do have the board. I don't know if that will help, but this is it. This is stitched on a 14 count Aida. It's a Lori Holt one. Parchment maybe is what it's called. I am not quite sure. I did pretty much everything called for, except, as you can see, I did add in some purples. They were 2 Cosmo colors. If you would like me to let you know, again, just leave a comment. But it is done and completed and off of the whip list. And I really did have a good time stitching this. It unfortunately maybe solidified that I am not a 2-stranded stitcher anymore, but I did have a good time. It was really easy to work on. Particularly, when I did the house in the middle, I mapped out some fill-in, and that was just really relaxing to do at the end of the day when I had a hard day at work, or, just didn't want to think too much in my stitching world. It was really funny. I was texting Lisa and just lamenting about this project as a whole, and how I felt like I was, especially the needle itself seemed like huge compared to my little tiny needle I had been using lately for stitching on 40 count. So anyways, so those are all my finishes, and I am just glad to have made some progress this year. It feels like I haven't had that many finishes, and I'm okay with that for the most part. I guess I'm used to last year where if you watched my finishes video, I'll link that below, but I had like 50 and probably over 50. And this year it's April and I'm up to about 6, maybe even less than that. So it feels like I haven't done anything this year, but I have taken on, you know, larger projects, and finishing that one felt really good. Sorry, Mom told me to make a note. Link finishes video. Sorry. So I have taken on larger projects, and I have made significant progress on a lot of those larger projects. So I'm glad for that. And you know, the number doesn't matter. I'm having a good time this year and happy to get old finishes done and start some new projects. Okay. So since I last saw you, this is technically a start, I guess I'll say. So at the end of the month, so actually next week, I am going to Hobby House Needleworks, which I'm really excited about. It for the Plum Street Sampler and Heartstring Samplery retreat. So Mom and I are going, so we're really excited. So one of my favorite people to watch and has become a bit of a friend, her name is Caitlin from A Stitch for Mom, and I will link her below as well. Or I'll tag her below, so go check out some of her videos. She was working on Spring Moon, and I have had that kitted up for quite some time. And, sorry, I'm getting the chart out. And she was working on it on this most beautiful blue fabric, and it was amazing, and she finished it, and she got it framed, and oops. Okay, so sorry. More difficulties. Okay, where was it? So, Caitlin, Stitch for Mom. She had finished her Spring Moon. It was beautiful and amazing, and I had messaged her and said, I really want to start that now, which I had it kitted up from a Stitch Niche a while ago. So here's the chart. So Caitlin had said, well, Michelle, you clearly can't start it until I finish it. I said, yes, ma'am. So she finished it. And when I go to Hobby House in a week, I really had wanted to bring this to work on. So I have a lot of it done, but I have a lot of it outlined. So I had ended up changing the blues to purples, and this is being stitched on a 40 count Picture This Plus called Ariel, Aerial. So I have the moon, which I don't know if you can really see in the corner up here to fill in. Actually, I think you might be able to see that. I have the whole basket done. Sorry, words escape me. I have a bunch of the flowers outlined, ready to go. I have the whole roof ready for fill in, so I'm really excited. If you want to know what colors I changed it to, the lightest purple is Aunt Marie's Violet. The middle purple is Plum Paisley, maybe? Okay, Michelle. Sorry. Let's just look at them, shall we? Yes, Plum Paisley and Aunt Marie's Violet. Yes. And then the darkest one is a Bestitch Me Silk, which is called Witchy. The two greens, so I pulled this out. I was missing like 5 colors. So I just did some subs. The darkest green was supposed to be Peapod, I think. I switched out for Garland, which is a Roxy Floss. And then the lightest, which is Nature Trail. I actually did have that color, but I didn't like that color. I changed to Scuppernog. So that's pretty much all the changes. Everything else I had, the basket fill-in was supposed to be used brick, which is to me a red. And so I'm switching that to a brown, which is Wagon Wheel. So hopefully next time I see you, I'll have a lot of these filled in, because I am going to bring this to Hobby House, and I'm excited about that. I think I am going to have Erin pick a whip for me to work on, and like I did coffee and eggs, which I ended up finishing, which definitely will not happen every time. So I'm putting it back in its bag, which I'll show you. This is Rosemary's Cottage by Thimble Blossoms. So I won't have him pick from this one, because it's already gonna happen. Okay, next. So over spring break, I took 2 trips. I went to Seattle with my husband. We went to visit a close friend of his that lives in Washington, Seattle, and I had never been before, and we did some hikes. We met up with some other of my husband's friends, and overall just had a great weekend. We went to Bainbridge Island, which I found out that name had always sounded familiar and I couldn't place it. Well, that is where Laura Duet goes from Brenda and the Serial Starter, and I just felt her presence while I was there. And she had gone there fairly recently as well. I think she had actually ended up there about a week after I was there, and she went to a little fabric store, which I also went to. And anyways, so I was just like, we almost overlapped. But anyways, so we had a great time. The other trip I ended up taking was Lisa, Black Coffee and Grits, and Brooke, Stitch by the Brook. We ended up going to Comfort, Texas for the weekend to go to Tinsmith's Wife. And we had a great time there. I'll say the journey was a bit precarious, as it was the windiest weekend I had ever been alive through, it felt like. And the only reason I mentioned that was we drove there because it was, I want to say, 3 to 4 hours away from us. I live in Fort Worth, and so we had to go very south Texas. So anyways, I just felt like we were on a roller coaster the whole time. Poor Lisa didn't hurt. She did a great job driving through all of that. And I'm pretty sure she gained some real forearm strength by gripping the wheel and keeping us on the road. So anyways, I am usually fine in a car, even in the back seat. Like that, the trip that I finished the Prim Houses by Lori Holt on, we drove back from Chicago, and I was in the back seat the whole time and was perfectly fine stitching and not looking at the road. But anyways, so we went to the Tinsmith's Wife, and we all, of course, wanted to start a project there together. So we ended up picking Satterthwaite, a Quaker sampler. And if you've been here before, you know I love Quaker. So we all, of course, wanted to start it that weekend. So let me show you my original start. So this is 40 count Cream and Sugar by Fiber on a Whim. And for some reason in my mind, I really had wanted to stitch this in silk, but they didn't have that many choices, or at least I thought. So I had ended up picking a Weeks Dye Works, which I do really love the color. I don't know what the color is. Oh, but they're still all in my bag. Eggplant. But I don't know. That was all I had done, and I just wasn't feeling it. So what I ended up doing was I restarted it on the same fabric, and I ended up reaching out to my friend Olivia B at Hillside Rookery and asking her if I could order a hank of MPI, which is what I did. And I got that back. Thank you, Olivia, so much. And sorry, I'm trying to get the color. So I restarted it. I got a hank. This is the thing, which was color 105. And this is what I have now. So I restarted it in the same spot. I ended up finishing that whole first motif. So I'm caught up to Lisa. And then I started the second motif as well. So I'm very happy and so glad that I ended up changing. I know myself now in that if I don't end up working on a project for a fairly significant amount of time, I guess, then, or like I don't want to get back to it, then something is wrong. Either it's the thread, it's the fabric, and I've learned now that it might even be the needle. And so I've done a lot more stitching now with those Lori Holt needles, and I'm obsessed with them, and I will never go back to another needle. They are so delicate, but I feel like I don't have that problem where I feel like I have to really push through a tighter weave of fabric, and that's made a big difference. Okay, so there's that one. And I'm leaving that one out, so if Aaron wants to pick it, he can pick it. Oh, here's the bag that I made. So after we went to the Tinsmith's Wife, we ended up going to the best little retreat center in Texas for a day and met up with my mom and my sister and some friends of ours. And this is called Sunday Brunch by Basic Gray. So that lives there from that weekend. Okay, next. Last weekend, it was I call her Germany Alex. It was my friend Alex from Salix Stitches, her birthday, and so happy birthday, Alex. Late happy birthday. But we had a stitchy Zoom with her and a bunch of her friends who are very kind and gracious and have been very wonderful to me as well. This was my second time Zooming with them. And so anyways, so it was a great time, and we all were working on a Kathy Barrick piece, but Alex wanted to start a Quaker dwelling. So of course, I was like, yes, ma'am. I ordered the MPI pack from Olivia B, of course. So, and I actually did have a called for linen, which was Boardwalk by Color and Cotton. I had ended up pre-ordering a fat half because I love that fabric so much. But I ended up, again, being, influenced by Caitlin, Stitch for Mom. And she was going to start The Earth Laughs on this beautiful kind of aqua fabric called Luna Moth by Stitch Me. And so I of course had to order some, which I did. And I ended up, that's what I started a Quaker dwelling on. So here we go. So I finished that very first motif that same day that we had Zoomed. I didn't finish it during the Zoom, but I did finish it later that day. I met up with Lisa, and then the other day I pulled it out again and did the little bird and started on the house. So the roof is a smidge intimidating, but I love the fabric. I think these colors look amazing on it, and I am looking forward to getting back to it. The silks are just too good. If you have never stitched with MPI or silk in general, which Caitlin, I'm so glad that I sent you those silks, so enjoy those. They are a treat. So I encourage you. So I had never stitched with silk before either for a long time. And what I ended up doing was I picked a monochromatic stitch, a small one, and I just bought one hank of MPI that I liked and just ended up stitching that project on that. And it was a really good way to decide if you like stitching with silk or not, and a cheap way to stitch with silk just in case you didn't want to dive into a big project and with a lot of money in the game. So if you've never done that before, that's my suggestion. Okay, next. So after I finished Coffee and Eggs, I was gunning for another finish, which led me to Collector's Heart 2025. Then I knew I was going to start Quaker Dwelling with Alex, but I, for some reason, was like, I don't want to start anything new yet. That other start's coming up. I don't know. I was just gunning for another finish. So I was like, what can I start that's not really a new start? I don't know. I don't know how to explain how my brain works. So what happened was I ended up pulling out Gather Wildflowers Spring. See, there we go. Don't get me in the shot. Oh, there we go. So I had already finished one of them, which I'll show you in a second. And then I was like, well, I have two more to do. I have the little rounds to finish them on. And I had just never gotten back to this part of this because it's on 32 count with 2 strands of fabric. And so I'm trying to persevere and do that. But so here's the first one that I have finished. This is on 32 count. It's a Lapin Loops. Cryptic, stone something, I don't know. But there's my first one that I did last year. So I could still consider this a whip because I want to do all 3 of them and finish them on those little rounds. So what I ended up doing was I picked this up, and I have a project. Oh, Berry Cottage. Anyways, I have another project that I'm gonna have to do a lot of over one on, and so I was like, well, let me practice my over one. Lisa recommended that I get a little hoop, which I did, and I was persevered, and I ended up doing all of my over one words. So pat on the back for Michelle Burt. And I haven't finished this yet, partially because I zoomed in on Autumn Love for so long that the two-stranded stitching I was over it. But I will get back to this year and finish it, hopefully sometime soon. So 32 count something. I'm sorry, I don't remember what it is. If you message me or really want to know, it's a Lap and Loops. It's one of their colors that came out last year that was really popular. So small potatoes, maybe? I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay. Another project I worked on. Sorry, I'm trying to be good and get out the cover photos, except for this one. This one is At Home by Brenda Gervais, which I had started because Carrie of Red Velvet Quilts had started this, and I was obsessed, and me and Alex started it together. Sorry, making sure that Red Velvet Quilts. So we had started this together, and I have not done much more work on it since we filmed in April again, but I did work on it some, probably since the last time you've seen it. Sorry. So I went around and did the whole border. I did the inside border. I did that little flower at the bottom. And then I have been working on, actually one difference you may see is that I pulled out there was a blue flower I had stitched, and I'm using the Roxy Floss Co. conversion, which I love, but the blue was too variegated in my opinion, so I'm switching it around a little bit. I had ordered a couple other Roxy flosses, and anyways, so this is on 40 count Frost by Color and Cotton, and it's just a very light blue, but I think it works really well as spring, still might be a little bit cold, warming up a little bit, and it's just, I think it's perfect. So for some reason I haven't been called back to this, but I'll get there. And I'm really glad I have that whole border done. I'm desperate to get to that house. So maybe Erin will pick this one for me to work on. Okay, next. Oh, let me show you my bag. This is Laguna Sunrise by Sherry and Chelsea. I'm sure I've shown the bag before. Oh, I didn't show my Quaker Dwelling bag. I'm sorry, I'm bad about the bags now. So Quaker Dwelling is in just a simple bag that I made with some Blackbird. It's cross-stitch fabric. And then Gather Wildflowers. I know I have shown this bag before. Is in this Tilda fabric that I made last year. Okay. I just have 3 more whips. Okay, the next whip is Adorn Your Heart by Plum Street Samplers. I started this because of Burn Stitches. I was watching her video and pressed pause literally in the middle of the video and had to go purchase. So I have made decent progress. I was very much obsessed with this in February, and I really thought I was going to stitch to a finish, but I'm not quite there yet, but that's okay. So this is what I have so far. I have shown this on a previous video. I think I've done more on the border, and then I did this motif up here, and then I think I did add it in that purple. So this is what I have done. I thought about bringing this to Hobby House as well, so we'll see. The border is really easy to stitch on, especially since I have the outline all complete. And oh, maybe I worked on the grass some too down here. So I think this would be a good project to bring because it wouldn't be too crazy in terms of counting, but we'll see. Oh, sorry, this is on 40 count vellum by Picture This Plus. So I'll leave that out. Maybe Erin will want me to work on that one. And I am changing the house color to purple. Hard to believe. And this bag is being housed in a Love Blooms bag that I made. Okay. Next is Put a Bird on It by Modern Folk Embroidery. I purchased this last autumn when I went to the attic for the Autumn Abundance Retreat, and I had done some work on this. I think I had done this kind of motif right here and this motif here, this green one, and maybe these little birds right here too. Well, I was watching Stitch and Jem, and she had flashed hers up, which was amazing. And I was like, man, I really should get mine out. So that's what I did. And I have made really good progress on this since the last time I've shown it. So I'm happy about that. So this is where I am. Let's get the fabric in. So I've gone all the way across. So that was really nice. And I probably won't cut my fabric. It's really not that big of a deal. So I've gone all the way across. I've done all the colors now in the ones that I'm using, and I really love it. I know there's a SAL, but I'm not really following the SAL. I'm just working on it because Jem worked on it, and I loved it. So this is on 40 count green tea by Color and Cotton. So it has a light green tint to the fabric if you can't tell. And I am using a silk conversion that I picked up at the attic. So I'm using Elegant Eggplant, which is the darkest purple. Pecan Pie, which is that gold color. Jem, if you don't have pecan pie, you should get some. I have Noir, which is my letters and numbers, I guess. I have Tortoiseshell, which is this lovely army green color. And then the brighter purple is Empress. So. And this is my mini McBeans that I picked up, which you probably can't tell, when I was at the attic. So I really had a good time on that. This is my bag. This is Teddy and the Bears by Sarah Watts with Ruby Star Society. And this really doesn't have anything to do with the project, but I love that bag. So, oh, and I did stitch the swan in that. Let me show that, as I am obsessed with swans. So I did it in that pecan pie color. So I'm having a good time with this, and I do want to get back to it. I was talking to Alex, or maybe it was Lisa, and I was like, I feel like I have too many Quakers. Or I didn't say I had too many, but I was like, I feel like I have a lot of Quakers. Maybe I should pick one and push to a finish. I don't know. And that was the one that I was thinking of. Okay, and then a new start since you have been here last. And my most favorite project I think I've worked on in a really long time is Manor at Quaker Hill. So when we went to the Tinsmith's Wife, I had brought some charts with to decide if I wanted to kit up, and this was the one that I ended up picking. And I love everything about it. I love the flat. I love the border. I really like that it's only 3-sided border. I love the swans. I love that teeny little house. It's just good. Now, what I didn't love about this was, if you look at the colors, you can tell there are pinks and reds. And I'm not a red person, except for Christmas. Red has its place, people. So what I ended up doing was I used all the called for colors with the exception of those 3 reds, which I changed to basically orchids. So I guess I have my board here. So I'm stitching this on 40 count Cappuccino by Fiber on a Whim. And there she is. Oh, Erin will probably put in a close-up of this, but those colors are amazing. They're beautiful on this linen, those yellow roses, which are a time and a half of stitching. They are beautiful. And I just love, 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 love this project. For some reason, when I finished that, my goal was to finish the first page, which I did. I just was like, oh, I've done enough. And now I'm like, oh, maybe I haven't. So let me tell you my colors that I changed to. So the colors in the pattern, let me just get this out here. So the darkest red was, I'm sorry, there's four reds. The darkest red was Carolina Cecil, which I ended up changing to Briar Rose. So there's Briar Rose. Then the medium was DMC 356, which I changed to Red Plum. So there's that. And then the next one was DMC 3778, which I changed to Boysenberry Jam. And then the lightest color was Weeks 1331 Peach, and I changed that to Jasmine. So those are my 4 color changes. And so they're still muted, but they are different enough to where you can really see them. And these are just more my jam than those reds. So that is a lovely color conversion, and that is being housed in my my bag by Brooke that she sent me for Christmas. Thank you, Brooke. So that is all of, I believe, the stitching. Well, except for plans. So let me talk about plans for just a second. And then we'll talk about quilting. Okay, so last video that no one will ever see the light of, Erin had picked out a new start for me, which is good because Caitlin was going to start it too, so we're starting it together, which is Berry Cottage by Plum Street Samplers. But since I'm going to Hobby House, I am fairly certain I will start the project, either one or both of the projects that we are getting from Paulette or Heartstring Samplery, whose name is escaping me right now, which I feel terrible about. So I have 2 other projects that I'm thinking of bringing. So the first one, and starting, is Blackberry House, which I actually I got at the Tinsmith's Wife while we were there, so very exciting. So a couple of changes I will definitely be making is taking out this bottom alphabet. And I think I'm gonna take out the 2015 and put the little birds that are in that corner, sorry, the light, in where those are. That's kind of my plan. So I got that all kitted up at the Tinsmith's Wife. I am not using the called for linen. I picked up at the Tinsmith's Wife. I never stitched on legacy linen, and I'm always here to try something new, people. So this is 40 count Hazy Summit. It's kind of it's gray, but here's all the colors, and I think it will be beautiful. If you can see that. I'm not really good at this part of the video. So I am looking forward to starting that sometime. There is that over one. Maybe I'll try the over one. Who am I? But probably not. So that is something that I'm thinking about bringing to the retreat to work on as well. And then my other thought is to bring, I have kitted up Spring Has Sprung by Plum Street Samplers. And you're like, wow, Michelle, that looks like it'll be super fast. And I'm like, yes, except it is still 154 wide by 79 high. So it's not that bad, but I don't know, that robin looks very chonky, which I'm excited about. And I have it all kitted up. There's my jumble of threads. And I have it with Fawn Pale by Color and Cotton. So I think it'll be lovely. So that's what I'm thinking. I hope those words aren't over one. So those are my 2 things that I might bring with to work on. Okay, and then, just like Tinsmith's Wife, I'm like, well, maybe I'll bring something to kit up as well, because we're going to Hobby House, duh. So, I have 3 choices here. I bought these random places. Okay, this I bought at the Tinsmith's Wife as well. A fine house indeed. Partially because I love that giant house, but also it's with MPI, which I have a now good obsession with. Olivia, Floss Packs. Then I have a daily reminder by Brenda Gervais. I got this at my LNS, the Stitch Niche. I don't know how I'm not sure about the fabric situation. I'm definitely not going to stitch the house in red. Jody, Simply Stitching Ocala, stitched it in blue, which I did pick up the blue and a different blue that she had stitched hers in. But I might get everything else at Hobby House. And then I got this from Boxcar Quilts. Hello Spring. Looking at my spring dough bowl is very sad. And so I need some smalls to supplement. So I bought this, and obviously I'm obsessed with Brenda, but I thought that would be fun to do. I don't have any of the colors. Well, I don't have anything in this bag, so. But I also like that it's one long one, but then I can put it in the dough bowl. These are the questions I have to deal with. So anyways, those are what I'm thinking of bringing to Kit Up. Okay, so that's all the stitching. Thank you so much. And let's talk about a smidgen of quilting. So the quilt behind me is one I did a few years ago. My mom and sister got the kit for me for, let me get out of the way, for my birthday. And it is by Thimble Blossoms, Camille Ross Kelly. And I think her mom was still with her at the time, so Bonnie and Camille. It basically is this nice house block. I love stitching and sewing houses. And then we alternate with this tulip block. And I love that it has the dark background. And if you can see, I guess right here, it has a white border, which normally I'm not drawn to. But obviously with a dark background, the white border looks really nice. And then I bound it with one of the greens in the collection. So I cannot remember what the fabric line is called, nor the kit. So I will have Erin insert that here. And Mom quilted it, Geek Plus Quilting. She did a great job. It has some feathers and swirls, which is really nice. And I think it just quilted it in a white. Yeah. So thank you, Mom and Jessica. So that is the quilt behind me. So sorry if you've been waiting all episode to hear about that. Okay, and then I did those bags. Well, the one bag that you saw. Oh, I made another bag and sent it to my friend Kaylin, A Stitch for Mom. So go check out her latest video if you'd like to see that. And that was really fun, and I'm glad I could do that for her. Okay, then while Lisa and Brooke and I were at the Best Little Retreat Center, we decided to start a new quilt together, which of course Brooke has already pieced her whole top together, so she's an overachiever. And Lisa and I have made one block, unless Lisa is better than me and she's made more than one block. So anyways, so this is a Sherry McConnell pattern from A Quilting Life called Alfresco, and they in the original pattern used Seashore Drive, which I happen to have a fat 8th bundle of. And Lisa and Brooke bought fabric, the exact same fabric for as well. They are using different backgrounds. Brooke used a tone-on-tone cream dot, and Lisa is using a grunge. I too am using a grunge, but I'm using this purple color, which I think is called like berry pie or something. I don't know. It's beautiful. And I think it really sets off these fabrics well. So one day I'll work on that some more. My quilting bug has still not come back yet, except for making bags, and now even then I get halted on making bags because Joann's is going out of business, and so I have to find a new place to get my SF-101 from. Anyways, it's a whole situation. So I think that's all I have for now. Oh, let me talk about my shirt. So this is a quilt block. I don't know what it's called. It's some version of a sawtooth star. But if you ever see me wearing a quilting shirt, most of the ones that I get are from Handmade is Heartmade. They have a new kind of subgroup called Heartmade Threads, I think. I don't know, but I'll link it below. They are coming out with a new shirt this weekend, and it's pretty cute. I'm more simple. I like the ones with this little block on the pocket. I've worn some other ones too, and I can't remember if I ever mentioned it, but I'll mention it this week. It was also in my notes from last time. So anyways, okay, so I'm gonna take a break and go get Aaron Burke. We're back now with the star of the real show, Aaron.
Good afternoon, quilting and cross-stitching enjoyers. Thanks for having me back on the show. When I was here last, I told you that I was starting on this Rex Rich crochet squirtle project, and I am a man of my word. I have continued to work on it, although I will admit it has been more of a challenge than I realized that I signed up for. I'll put a couple clips on the screen detailing what I meant. Alright, I am at my desk and getting started on this Rex Rich turtle kit that looks awfully a lot like a squirtle, but is not technically called that. And here's what comes in the kit. Nicely packaged up, different colors of the yarn, a bag full of tools, and one page of instructions that give you a kind of an overview for how to do each type of stitch, and then exactly the pattern. I guess maybe I need to blur that. But yeah, that's what comes in the kit. So I am set up. I've got all my tools out, got the blue ready, and I am about to start on the head. Fortunately, the folks that make this were kind enough to make a free YouTube series showing you every single stitch for what you need to follow. And after looking at these and thinking about this for a minute, I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna need to watch this video and follow step for step what they're doing. So I'm gonna get started with that and we'll see how it goes. All right, after several hours of trying, I have what is supposed to be the top of Squirtle's head. The videos are very nice and helpful, and at a glance you might think that what I have here is the same as what she has, but any crocheters among you will know why this is in fact not the same thing. And perhaps I'm not taking a good enough video, but my stitch counts and the pattern that, or rather my crochet counts and the pattern in which I did them are not correct. So Squirtle's head is gonna be lumpy, but I'm gonna keep trying at it and we'll see how it goes. Here is my work in progress as it stands so far. Now don't be too impressed, but this is in fact the top of Squirtle's head. And although it's not much to look at, especially for the amount of time that I've been working on it, I'm pretty proud with what I have so far, because to be honest with you, I wasn't completely certain that I could even get this far. I had to restart 3 times, and that is simply due to me not completely understanding what I'm doing with the crochet needles. I do have to say that everything that came in the kit was inclusive of everything that I needed. I thought that they really thought ahead and included extras of things that I would need. And also, in addition to having pretty decent instructions on paper in there, these Rex Rich folks have a really nice YouTube series for each of their projects that are available, and they have someone on the screen knitting every single crochet stitch of every single project. So the only reason I got this far is I was able to stitch for stitch follow along while an actual professional puts this together. So even with that said, the keen-eyed crocheters among you will notice that this doesn't exactly look right, and I'll show you more detail on that, but I'm just happy to get this far with it. I do have to say that it's quite a challenge for me, and I'm not sure that crocheting is going to be a permanent hobby of mine, but I am, 1, enjoying my attempt at it, and 2, appreciating why Michelle did not want to do this, because it is, in fact, not the same thing as cross-stitching. I knew it wasn't the same thing, but I thought it was similar enough that she would want to just pick it up and do it. And now I understand why that was not the case. So.
Well, I think part of what is hard about that project is you did a three-dimensional project instead of attempting like more two-dimensional, like crocheting a scarf first to learn the stitches. I always think that 3 dimensions is harder than 2 dimensions, so.
I agree with you. I definitely dove into the deep end, but I'm committed to at least trying it, so I will continue to try. We'll continue to update you guys on my progress. And I realized after we filmed and released last month's episode that I did not show this little crochet Pikachu that I picked up years ago that got me kind of started on the idea of liking crochet things. This guy I picked up at the Pike's Place Market in Seattle several years ago, and he's been hanging on my wall ever since. He actually was a keychain, but I like him too much to actually put him on a backpack and carry him around because I feel like these types of keychains tend to break, and I would be remiss if I misplaced this Pikachu. So while I was getting things out for this episode, I also found this guy. Remember we got this at I think we got it at the Peanut Festival in Whitesboro probably 10 years ago now.
A long time ago.
A much bigger brother to this little Pikachu. And having had crochet needles in my hand for at least a little bit now, I am still impressed by this, but even more impressed by how small the stitches are on this little guy. To the untrained eye, these are two of the same thing, but I now understand that this was so much harder to make than this guy. And also, whenever there's not a kit with instructions that somebody made for you, somebody is, for lack of better words, raw dogging these. Or, in other words, just looking at it and deciding where they need to do stitches and where they need to add, like add a stitch so that the thing gets bigger as you stitch it, and then knowing generally what they need to do to create ears that look like the ears that should be on Pikachu. And even the tail really impresses me. So the fact that people can do this at all is one thing with instructions, and then the fact that people can just take needles and thread and an idea in their head and create these things very much impresses me at this point. We'll see if I make it that far myself, but I'll keep you guys in the loop. And then also, the last time that I was in Seattle, this was not at the Pike Place Market, but at a little farmer's market. This guy had these little crochet flower pots and crochet flowers, and every single one of them is different. So I was really glad to have a little bit of crochet experience under my belt so that I could appreciate these amazing little handmade, and each one was one of a kind, little flower pots. This one really spoke to me. I like that the pot is an owl. So brought this home for Michelle, and it sits on our window now.
That's cute.
And I kind of wish that I bought some more. It was only $15. And
wow.
You know, when I didn't know anything about crocheting, I was like, okay, you know, $15 makes a lot of sense. But now that I know the time and also the skill that goes into creating one-off things like this, I would have paid a lot more for that. It's really impressive. It holds a lot more value to me. So anyhow, there are my thoughts on my first time crocheting project. I will keep you guys in the loop on each episode as I move it forward. And then, did you have some stuff to show me?
Yeah, you're gonna pick a project for me to work on.
Very good.
So, what do you want to look at, where I'm at or the pattern? Or both, I guess.
I guess show me both.
Okay. So, first is Manor at Quaker Hill.
Okay.
So this is what I have so far. You gotta turn it this way.
Okay, good start.
Thank you.
I like the colors for the flowers that you picked.
Thank you.
Not that there's anything wrong with the photo, but I like the brighter colors that you're going with on these flowers. Okay.
Okay. Next is put a bird on it.
I like this pattern a lot. Let's see where you're at with it. Okay. This one's a strong contender.
I like that one a lot.
This one is very nice. I guess you've already showed it to them.
Okay, you can show them again.
Okay.
I don't mind.
This one is definitely in the running.
Next is Adorn Your Heart. I think you had this one to pick from last time, too, maybe.
Yes, I recognize it. I like all the animals in this one.
Yeah, I haven't done any of those yet. This is where I'm at.
Okay. You got a good chunk of this one done. What would you say, a third?
Yeah, probably a third's a good estimate.
Okay. I like that one a lot. Looking forward to seeing the animals. That one's in the running.
Have at home. That one has some animals too, but not as many as that other one.
I like this one a lot. I like the tree designs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I haven't done much on this one.
Yes. Just getting started. Okay.
This one you may have not seen. It's new. This is Quaker Dwelling.
I like the color scheme in that one, even though it's not very colorful.
It actually, so it looks like it's like blacks and stuff, but it's actually really dark green.
It's striking compared to a lot of the other ones have similar color schemes.
Yeah,
This one kind of jumps out at you.
it's definitely different.
I like this one a lot.
Okay. This one's M. Satterthwaite.
Another one with the black and white color scheme with the little black birds. I like these.
Me too. But I'm not doing black. I'm doing dark purple.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, and I'm picking one for you to focus on for the next month. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. My top contenders
What you got?
are the Quaker Dwelling
Okay.
and this Quaker sampler with the purple.
Okay.
And last,
The other Quaker.
but certainly not least,
Oh.
I like this colorful one
Okay.
quite a bit. And I think my pick is actually going to be this guy
Okay.
for you to focus on for the next month.
Sounds good.
Seems like you're already a third of the way.
I got that ginormous house though.
I look forward to seeing the progress.
Thank you. Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, babe.
Cool.
All right, that's it for us.
Cool.
Gonna say our goodbyes.
Yes. Thanks everyone for tuning in. As the person working on the video on the computer after we're done filming, I really appreciate all the comments and feedback that we got after the last video. So if you don't mind, please keep those coming. Put the comments down there. Let me know what you think about if the lighting is good, if you liked the close-ups that I did. I have some experience making videos, but I have only a partner's understanding of the crafting space. So I am counting on you guys' feedback to let me know what you do and don't want to see. The music, did you like it? Was it too loud or was it just annoying? Throw it in the comments, let me know. We are trying to make stuff that's mostly fun for us to make, but also we want it to be fun for you guys to watch. So keep that feedback coming. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, even if your project is frustrating and goes slowly, we are doing it for fun. So cut yourself some slack. If you put a deadline on yourself, push it back and make sure that you are actually having fun with your hobby. And with that, we thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye. Happy stitching.